Welcome back to Marsh Minutes, the podcast about marketing and entrepreneurs and business, anything else in between. Today, my guest is Lisa Gibbons, who is the executive director of Regina Warehouse District, but you can probably fill in on what the actual title is. I tried to write it out and it was too long and my handwriting sucks. But there's a lot that goes into what your job is. Can you tell me about what your job is and what the Regina Warehouse District Committee is?
Our what is our job? That has been an ever-changing conversation. What we thought our job was going to be leading into 2020 with lots of hope and optimism was really promoting the district, making it the place for events to happen, businesses to invest, and people to live. And really it became, how do we help businesses survive? Folks that may not have a sophisticated business model, it's kind of mom and pop, and they have staff that they employ, but they hadn't really put together, a business plan on how do we survive a pandemic. So our job really shifted and changed in the past year for sure.
Well, so the warehouse district, what, if you had to draw lines, where would that be on the map?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we are Albert Street to Winnipeg, from the tracks to Fourth Avenue is the easiest way to define it. And if you were talking in small town Regina terms, you'd say the tracks to the cemetery, from McDonald's to the Tim Hortons on Winnipeg.
Until the Tim Hortons on Winnipeg goes away, right? Oh no, wait, it's the Fourth Ave one that's moving, right?
Yeah, and really, maybe I should say CMS Metal for any longtime Reginians who knew the classic CMS Metal location on Winnipeg and 8th Ave.
Well, and we were just talking about your new office space that you were renovating, and you put it into terms of like the bars that were there, because Dewdney used to be the strip, is what we called it, when there was just bars and you would just go up and down, and there's not really an active nightlife club scene anymore. But that's what I remembered that as, is the strip, the Dewdney strip. And now there's more, as you're saying, mom and pop places there. There's a coffee shop that actually I think is moved out by now, right? Brewed Awakening.
They haven't moved yet, but they are moving out, which I think will be an opportunity, and we'll see what comes into the space. We're seeing a lot of optimism, surprisingly, at the end of a pandemic. I don't know if we can say end of a pandemic yet, but reopening.
It's pretty close. So actually, the first time we spoke was right after the pandemic, and I offered my services or just some insight to you, saying if there's anyone that's kind of concerned about how to approach this digitally, have them reach out. I'm not going to charge them. I'm happy to talk to anyone. I'm happy to even just go out and talk to a big group. And you were very optimistic when I spoke to you. This is like week 1 or 2 of the pandemic. And I love your optimism. And I think that's probably helped a lot of people get through. But when you're looking at the numbers for a lot of businesses that were kind of prepared or might not necessarily have been super blindsided, there's a lot of people that got out unscathed.
Because we have such a diverse industry group in the warehouse district, certainly the live entertainment businesses, economy, nightclubs, decimated, food and beverage, pretty gutted. Breweries did okay. I mean, they're not doing amazing, but they're surviving. And then we have folks like Freeze Tallman, who actually did okay through the pandemic. Folks really focused on their home and renovating and making things better. So service industries like that did actually okay throughout the pandemic. And there were lots of programs to help and support. But then it's, how do we fill out this next application 8 hours later? We've now applied, and we don't qualify. Sometimes that was a little heartbreaking, but a lot of help from property owners. One of the things that I saw come out of this that I thought was fantastic were property owners who reached out to their businesses for the first time on a more personal basis and said, how can we help? Like, should we reduce your rent? Can you pay rent this month? We don't want to lose you as a tenant just because we're closed for a pandemic. It's affecting all of us. So that was an unexpected positive twist I saw come out of the pandemic.
There was a lot of people, especially when you're looking at supporting local, which we'll talk about in a bit, but not necessarily as a consumer to whoever's producing a product or selling a product, but just we're a small city and we have to lean up on each other to make sure that we're all there at the end. And one thing that I kept saying to some people that, right at the beginning is I'm not an economist, so don't take this with any super hardcore value, but uh, the money's not gone. It's just hasn't been spent. So I'm sure you could probably speak to when there were reopenings before the closures again. There were a lot of people that just went and spent money, that they had saved up. When shopping opened up again, my card actually got shut down because I had all of a sudden started spending all this money of all these things that I was waiting to go back into the shops to pick up, and I had to call them and go, no, no, it's not stolen. I could just buy stuff again.
Oh, that's a great point. And how do we transition those folks who maybe have gone to spending their money in other places, whether it's online or whatever that might look like, to coming back and, as you said, spending it locally?
That was a lot of what I had discussed with people too, is how to set your business up online because your storefront's not necessarily going to be open. I actually spoke with Mark from Everyday Kitchen. His episode's going to be on a little bit before yours there, but his whole situation was really interesting of how he dealt with that. And he ended up donating a lot of his proceeds because they were actually doing well, whereas other people weren't performing as well. So he had a really good strategy going off the bat, but I know a lot of people didn't, and it was tough for them to adjust.
Yeah, and they have a pretty thoughtful business model. So often folks spend a lot of time working in their business, but not enough time working on their business. And that's just the nature of number of hours in a day and all of that. But we've been fortunate that they've been very kind with their time, not only in the donation that you speak of, but also with other businesses and coming on and supporting where they can. Um, we're pretty lucky to have folks like that. We see the warehouse district more than just a business improvement district, but a community. And that was key for a lot of businesses coming together and supporting each other. We created a small group chat that met, I think for a while it was weekly. We would meet every like Wednesday and just share some hard stories, some great stories, what's working, what's not working. And it was nice to have somebody to lean on because you can't lean on your staff. They're looking up to you.
Yeah.
Who do you share your troubles with? So it was nice that they created this network.
Well, and I'd always worked in or around the warehouse district, so a lot of the businesses that I go to and buy from and go for lunch, and they are warehouse district businesses, but I've never known of the warehouse district committee or the organization that you work for until I started just talking to more of these business owners as a friend or as a colleague, or and Matt and Mark from Rebellion are the ones who turned me on to your work and what you're doing, and exactly like the crazy stuff that goes on behind the scenes of all these businesses that are thriving, trying to thrive, whatever the time is.
Yeah, and we're fortunate to have folks like Mark and Matt and all these great entrepreneurs who see the potential in this district, really want to invest their time and money. Um, and we're just back here trying to support them where we can. And it's great that the folks like you in the community, without thinking, yeah, the warehouse district is cool, you're looking at the businesses within the district who resonate with you. It really is an authentic building of partnerships. So yeah, we're lucky to have folks like you in our community, and it's great that you're connecting with those awesome businesses.
Well, there's something to be said about the fact that I had left both of my positions that were in the warehouse district, and I still go back there to work, or I still go back there afterwards because I don't work there anymore. But it's just the community that I feel most comfortable with, whether it's going out for lunch at Tea Tree down the streets, or going and grabbing a drink at Rebellion, or um, Brewed Awakening is where I would have a couple of coffee meetings. Gotta definitely shift that around, but I'm sure we'll find a different way to adjust that. Actually, Rebellion has some awesome coffee, so I often just run in there to grab some coffee from Caliber is where they
Nice.
get theirs
And
from.
Matt has a great he's all about coffee these days, and he's
Hmm.
been talking on TikTok about it, which I've been following him and loving it. And it's a great partnership between Caliber, another warehouse district, Rebellion. Yeah, we just love seeing these things grow.
Yeah, well, and it's support of each other, and it's genuine support. When Matt tells me about something cool that's happening, I'm not like, okay, yeah, whatever. You're just trying to sell your friends on stuff, but I'll take it for what his word is, which is worth a lot to me. Um, so yeah, like the more you're talking, it's just like, yeah, I'm seeing this community that's getting harbored, and I'm a part of it, whether I know it or not.
Yes, and Dee and I have sat quietly back, kind of watching this, and we attended a Creators Club meeting, I think, in 2019, and it was nice to hear, some of the more influencers in town who have no idea who we are, talk about, what's your favorite part of the city, and to say warehouse district. We were pretty excited. It's not the work necessarily that we're doing; it's the work that you see the businesses are authentically developing their own brand, their own sense of community, which we're just able to leverage.
So the types of things that you do, we got into it a little bit, but what are the things that you do as an organization to support the businesses that are there? Give me some cliff notes, because I know there's like hours and hours of ways that you've helped people or can talk about what you're doing.
Yeah, we try to divide it up into about four different pillars I think we have right now. Branding and marketing being one of those things. So telling the story of the warehouse district, sharing the stories from those folks within who are already creating content, um, bringing in part of that development piece is bringing in festivals or events. So having a point person, which is us, that they can reach out to and say, hey, we want to have an event. We don't know who to talk to about a road closure. Or we like Nuit Blanche is August 28th.
Mhm.
They involve about 12 different properties that they're going to be projecting light onto. Well, who owns all of those buildings? And so that's where our role is to help with that communication and build that relationship. So we do some of that sort of greeting work, developing. We helped Queen City Pride with the drag show that happened in the old Superstore parking lot. That was fabulous. Loved it. More pride. And then a big piece is advocacy. So it's the non sexy stuff like the light, the power. We need better street lights.
Mhm.
Who's reporting the outage? Empowering other people to do it as well, but that's part of our job. Advocating for beautification of the district. So, City of Regina, as you repair or replace curbs or streets, can we add street trees in? Some of those simple projects, but larger ones like the Dudney Avenue revitalization, which we should start seeing next year, which I'm really excited about. And then everyone's favorite Dust Bowl or former rail yard site is, is another big thorn in our side that we're starting to get really excited to see the future of that site and what it can mean for our city center as a whole, because we are not an island. If downtown is not doing well, it's going to affect us. If
Mhm.
we're not doing well, it's going to affect downtown. The same thing with the folks over at Real and our surrounding communities. The North Central community is really important to us. And while they're not in our mission and mandate, part of that advocacy work that I do is also in consideration of how do we grow together?
So the city itself is all leading into the success of the other districts, and I'm sure there are other districts that you talk to on a daily basis, and you're kind of working off each other. There's no competing. Am I gathering that?
We're moving out of competing and moving into community.
That's good to hear.
There's always competition, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but we're going to do better if we grow together.
Yeah.
So that's been our mantra.
Well, and I guess post COVID, because we're wrapping up and getting to that, and I'm really bad with how these episodes are going out because I have so many kind of backlogged. There's a lot of people that were like, "Yeah, I want to get on and talk," but So if this goes up in July, we should probably start having people getting their second shots and things starting to finally like open up for good.
Yeah,
Knock on
and
wood.
excited about it. Yeah.
Yeah, but so there's a lot of growth that needs to happen citywide before you have to start picking at all the other parts that you're competing over, right?
Right. And we really, I've heard another colleague of mine say the apple rots from the inside. So if you don't focus on your city center, you're going to start seeing that seep out into your other neighborhoods. It's not that we don't need to be the favorite child, but some attention needs to be given on our city center to ensure that our vulnerable population have a place in our community and that we're looking after them, that we're bringing workers back to their offices in a safe manner, and we're encouraging them to come out and visit their favorite places again. And really, everything is led by the riders. Just kidding, but it feels that way. But with the launch of the CFL season, there was really a renewed hope and people excited again to get out. So we can't wait to have our shuttle going again to the stadium and seeing food and beverage and maybe the bars with people again. That would be
Hmm.
fabulous. I hate to say full, but full with people as it's safe to do so.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and there's some opening strategies that I've seen with Rebellion, or like a lot of the coffee shops, I guess, would have had to shut down. It's been crazy. I've been working from home more than just having a mobile office anymore, and I need to get out. I need to do that. I need to. So I can't wait till things are a little safer and some other considerations are being taken in order to be able to do things safely. And I've gone out as much as I can and passing through anxiety, and as that gets alleviated for everyone, not just myself, it's going to be easier to have that done. And there's probably a lot of people that are like, yeah, hopeful, and there are a lot of detractors. There are a lot of people who are still kind of doom and gloom, or is this the end, the light at the end of the tunnel?
I'm sensing more positivity than negativity right now. The key is going to be vaccinations. That's how we keep businesses open. If we see a variant that, we have another outbreak and we have to close again, I think that's going to be hard. I think we're going to definitely lose a lot of businesses at that point.
Hmm.
But if we can continue forward and folks get out and get vaccinated, um, I'm encouraging government to use a carrot or a stick, whatever they need to do. But if we can get to 70% fully vaccinated, I think we'll be well placed to see our businesses return to open.
Yeah, and I think we're doing pretty well in terms of vaccinations. Obviously, there's always some detractors, but articles that I'm reading, we're doing better in the States and Canada. We have a pretty good adoption rates, and there's not a lot of people who are necessarily detracting from that, which is a good thing. And the thing that's always bugged me is the opening strategy versus the keeping things closed or temporarily shutting things down has always been about economics both ways. And if we had shut down for a month solid and kind of curbed everything, that's a little better than shutting down for almost an entire year. Um, and safety is always a concern, but having that kind of like lead into things, people aren't thinking laterally on that. And that must have been frustrating for a lot of business owners to be like, just let's do this safely, let's do this securely, let's actually make sure. But there's also, I need to open the business, I need to keep like money coming in.
100%. And balancing that conversation, it's not the economy versus public health. I had a business owner say to me, it's not good if my customers are dead.
Mm-hmm.
So let's take that moment and close for a month and then come back safely. Like, they also understood the balance of public safety through all of this. But yeah, let's do what we need to do to get back to being open.
It's just frustrating how it was half-assed a lot of the time, or people were approaching things in a half-assed manner. And it's like, guys, just it's like that kid that's always talking, which is usually me, by the way. And it's like, hey, if Shay keeps talking or Lisa keeps talking, um, no one gets recess. And then you just keep yapping. And I feel bad about that now because obviously I'm setting a bad example for society as a whole.
No, it's so true. It's so true. But I mean, there was a lot of debate, a lot of unknowns, but I always say our what we should be looking towards is New Zealand is the model, understanding we're not an island. We cannot completely close up our borders. But best practice to look after the community and the economy will follow.
Yeah. I certainly know that after my other vaccination, I'm still going to socially distance as much as possible and just kind of set that example of like, yo, it's not completely, we're not out of the woods yet. Like, we all need to at least practice better hygiene and better just ways of, or better habits of not making sure that we're getting each other sick.
We're not going to shake hands anymore, right? Like I had
No.
a guy try to shake my hand the other day and I was like, we're not doing this
Yeah.
right.
What do you do? Do you do the Japanese bow or do you do the toe tap instead of shaking
None,
hands now? No, you don't do anything
none of
like
those
that?
things. I'm just like, hey, how's it going?
Like,
Don't touch me.
as soon as it's, like I have a colleague of mine who's kind of a germaphobe, but more of like a safety. He's not completely anxious about everything and seeing it everywhere. But he's like, man, I've been trying not to shake people's hands for years, and now all I have to do is bow. That's no problem. I don't have to worry about that anymore.
Mm.
Yeah.
I hadn't considered that. There's a lot of elbow bumps that go on.
Yep.
I do like the toe tap. I feel like it could turn into some TikTok dance that I don't know how to do, but could be really
Probably.
awkward and fabulous.
It's gonna suck in the winter though. You know, there's gonna be a lot of people biffing out.
Yeah. Immediately the same image entered my mind.
Oh God, yeah. And then, well, I guess that could be a TikTok thing too. You know, go viral for watching people fall.
Yes, yes, yes. Just don't let it be me. I'm getting too old for that.
As long as we can get back up. Um, the last thing I kind of wanted to touch on. This is a big subject, but like shopping local, and you see the stickers all the time and the slogan of like shop local, support local. And I don't think people necessarily know exactly what that means or how to help people who are local. So like we'll start at the beginning of like what are some small things you can do to support local or shop local?
Yeah, and I think we've said it so many times that in the beginning of this pandemic, we saw it. We saw the impact. People were spending money locally. They were buying gift cards. They were doing all those things. And now that's become almost like noise. Shop local. Wah, wah, wah. It's Charlie Brown's teacher right now. Um, and people are just exhausted. So it really means a lot if you can stop in and spend some time or money with a business owner, whether it's buying a coffee, spending time by sharing their posts, their social media posts, commenting, engaging with their content. Um, Sometimes it's reaching out and say, hey, are you doing okay? Like all of those things mean a lot. And I would, we have this discussion about what's local because the KEG is a local franchise owner. And Jordy employs a number of people in our city. And so he struggles a little bit with, he understands the support local piece, but he wants to remind folks, hey, I live here.
Mm-hmm.
I own this property. I'm employing people. So um, just changing our mindset a little bit and maybe thinking of it as a store with a door instead of just support local, which I think is also an important message. And now there's new ways of doing it. So folks are going to social distance, I think, a little longer than maybe what we would expect. And they've done great work adding a web store, all of those pieces to make it easier. Curbside pickup, like, isn't curbside pickup great? I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to go into Canadian Tire. So fabulous. Just bring it to my car, or you get your coffee at Everyday Kitchen and they'll just bring it out to you. It's, especially as a mom, thinking about the days when my kids were little, fabulous. I don't have to get the kids out of the car and I can still support a local business. I don't have to go through a drive through of a chain who those folks maybe don't live in our city.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those challenges. But spending time and money in those local businesses is going to have a huge impact. I say we have this next half of the year to really reinvest in those businesses that we want to keep around. So if there's a business that's important to you in your life, make sure that you do your, and if you don't have money to spend at those businesses, even spending some time engaging on their posts means a lot.
It's interesting that you say like reach out and just have a discussion with them, because that's not something I would consider. But at the same point, if there's a restaurant, for instance, how are you guys doing? Oh, we're not doing so well, but we're finding a lot of people ordering food. Oh, cool. Well, maybe I'll find you on Skip the Dishes or whatever. Actually, we deliver on our own, and it's better for us if you deliver, or if we deliver directly to you, because Skip, Uber Eats, DoorDash, they take a heavy cut of things that aren't necessarily marked up. So having that discussion and kind of starting to understand, oh, okay, there's different aspects that I can still engage with the business, um, but that's going to be more beneficial for them.
You're and 100% you're bang on that. While these delivery services are great and convenient, and if that is your only way to support, then fair enough. But reaching out directly and getting past that delivery service fee, I mean, the restaurants have a footprint for a reason. There's a reason why they're not operating under a ghost kitchen. They're making their money by having you in their experience. So spending time at Bushwhacker, that's why Bushwhacker is not a ghost kitchen. You go to Bushwhacker to enjoy the experience of being in Regina and Saskatchewan's first craft brewery, and having their giant nachos and feeling that community around you. So in the interim, if you don't feel safe in that space at this moment, ordering directly from Bushwhacker is the best way to support them.
I don't think people really understand that you can order from almost any place that you would eat in at, because like I, for instance, got a gift certificate to Diplomat. And I'm like, oh, well, I'll just wait until we can go sit down at the Diplomat. And then I'm like, wait a second, go on the website. Oh, they have a lot of options to order in, or they have a lunch menu for takeout or something like that. So it's, I guess, kind of training your mind to be like, okay, well, there's different ways to engage with these businesses rather than just going and sitting down at the brew pub at Bushwhackers. And man, I could really go for some Bushwhackers fries right now, right? But I wouldn't think to order them in. But yeah, that's definitely an option for anyone.
Right. And another thing to note is they're all working their tails off to ensure that their spaces are safe.
Mm-hmm.
So if it is a decision that you feel comfortable to eat in their restaurant or establishment or go shopping indoors, they've all worked really hard to make sure they're keeping the standards up, to keep their spaces safe and clean. So as we reopen, I'm hoping that folks will feel confident to come back to small businesses and local businesses and support them. They're just anxiously waiting for folks to return and for things to kind of have a semblance of normal again.
No, that's awesome. Um, that's kind of all I wanted to talk about, even though we could really go on and talk forever, because there's so much that I could learn from you. When I was looking for more guests, Matt said your name first. Also, your name in terms of she will connect you with all these different business owners of the warehouse district, which is really important to us. And I want to branch out a little more, because I have, just a ton of warehouse districts. And I know there's places all over the city, but you just make it so accessible to reach you guys and to engage with you guys. So that's a great job as you're doing already.
Yeah, that is my special set of skills is connecting people. I don't know how that came about, but I love to see people and build community together. So I'm happy to connect people, and not just in warehouse district, although that is my official job. I think we do better as a community if we lift everybody up. So again, downtown, any other small businesses I might know and can help with, I'm happy to do that.
Well, you're kicking ass at it, so I appreciate that. To
Appreciate the compliment.
no problem. To end things off, though, I want to give you like kind of the floor, talk about anything, and I know you can't really promote any one thing. That's like saying this is my favorite kid, right? But if there's anything you want to talk about, anything you want to promote, or promote something of where to people can go and look and figure some of this stuff out for themselves, like take a couple minutes and talk away.
I think I'm going to give you three highlights that are worth watching in the warehouse district. So, 8th and Hamilton. I know we talk a lot about the Dewdney Strip and it's the place to be, but 8th and Hamilton has the power to really grow and change our community, and it's slowly happening as you see Everyday Kitchen open their flagship location. I think we're going to see some cool stuff happening there. I know some stuff that's going on, and I think that's a place to watch, especially as somebody who has a mobile office and you're looking for places to check out. Our nightclubs are going to return, and I know we're going to see at least 4 on the strip when we come back to operation. We're really excited for that. And we're really excited to welcome live music back into our community. And on another note, we are asked at least once a week what commercial space is available in the warehouse district. So we're about to launch on our website, hopefully a comprehensive listing. As soon as we publish it, it's out of date, but a listing of all the commercial property in the warehouse district. So if you're looking to open a business or you need a space, we'll be able to connect you in that way as well.
So besides having like those automated listings or website resources, how can people reach out to you specifically or anyone on your team?
Oh, well, for sure, social. We're all social creatures, so you can definitely on any of the socials. We're pretty responsive. You can always old-fashioned email us at info@warehousedistrict.ca, and I can give you my phone number if anyone. Do people call people anymore? I don't know.
Usually they get really mad at me when I call them.
Yes, exactly. Well, it's all listed on our website there, so you can track us down in any of those ways. We love to have the conversation, so we love to hear back from folks. And I would love to ask you one quick question.
Sure.
How do you see the warehouse district in the next 5 years?
The warehouse district in the next 5 years for me personally is being able to drive down Dewdney and take a left or a right, depending on where I'm going, and being able to go somewhere different down each one of those side streets. And then being kind of like a destination for cool businesses that I'm still going to visit and still going to spend a lot of my time in.
I love that. Destination for cool businesses.
Yeah. Because there's always cool stuff that's opening up, right? I didn't even know what a sourdough donut was.
I think we all got an education.
Absolutely.
I think I ate my weight throughout the pandemic. So
oh yeah.
Thank you to all the businesses. I should have worked out as much as I ate, but in any case, we didn't do that, and it's completely fine.
That's okay. There's going to be some dance classes that open up there, and maybe another gym. A lot of places to work that out, right? So one-stop destination.
Yeah, we have over 20 gyms, so there's plenty of opportunities.
Well, yeah, all that stuff is going to be down in the show notes. I want to thank you again, Lisa, for coming on. This was awesome. I'm sure it's not the only time that I'm going to ask you to be on the show. And next time, like a lot of my other guests, hopefully there's not going to be a whole lot of COVID talks, and we can talk more about other successes or other cool stuff that's happening.
I'm here for it. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Lisa. You have a good week.
You too. Take care.